Okay, all right. We can start it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my talk today for Medium Day. I'm Dan. I work as UX designer and also UI designer. And today I will talk about why users prefer certain designs over the other kind of designs, using insights from the landscape design and landscape theory. Now you probably know like what landscape design is. So basically, that's kind of discipline that is related of how to design gardens, parks, and things related to that. And there are some similarities between landscape design and user interface design and UX design in terms that both of them actually use uh, similar principles or same principles used in design, like use of the symmetry, use of proportions, use of the how way to balance elements, use of white space, and all of these things. You can find all of these things actually in the both fields. And landscape theory is kind of scientific and academical study of landscape design. Uh, I actually wrote article about this on the Medium few months ago. You can read it if you visit my profile on Medium. You can find that article there and read more details. And also, this topic was actually part of my master thesis I wrote, I think 2 years ago, where I actually explore how to use certain theory from the landscape design into UX design. And this will be topic that I will talk today with you. Um, I will not really talk about this article on the Medium. I mean, I will touch some details there, but I will try to give you like more wider picture and intuition what actually is how actually we can use insights from landscape theory to in the UI design and UX design. Uh, so maybe the first and kind of main question that is like topic of this talk is question is why users prefer certain design, or even general question like why people prefer certain design, certain art, certain aesthetics uh, over the other. Like why we find, for example, some things beautiful and some things not, and some things pleasing and some things not really, and we find them like frustrating and all of that. So this kind of general question, and this question was actually asked on a lot of different places in the philosophy, in the philosophical aesthetics, in the art, in the like design and science and all of that. And there are like few explanations for these questions. For example, one of them is regarded social and cultural background. So basically, it will say that we prefer certain things as beautiful because we are living in certain culture that have certain values. What is wrong, what is right, what is beautiful, what is not. And based on that, like we kind of prefer certain things because we have these cultural values. Uh, there is also other kind of explanation that is more coming from psychology and from art, which is saying that people prefer certain things because it gave them like aesthetical pleasure. Like basically, when you are watching something that looks beautiful, you have certain emotions and feelings, and you like feel pleasure looking at this like beautiful art or beautiful landscape or beautiful garden, and like clean and minimal design in the user interface and all of that. And I want to talk about these two explanations. I will actually touch the one third explanation that can explain actually this, which is actually have relation with evolutionary theory, and which says basically that there is certain evolutionary factors that actually influence why we prefer certain things over the other. And we can say like the reason why we prefer these things is because they give us certain fitness points necessary for our survival or reproduction and things like that. Now there are studies that are done with this in terms of, for example, why we prefer certain faces that look beautiful over the other, for example. These factors, these studies actually find that there is relation between beauty and health. For example, like we prefer beautiful faces because we kind of build connection between beauty and the health. Now the same kind of studies are done in the landscape and landscape studies, and we can say that there is certain evolutionary factors that influence why we prefer certain landscapes over the other. And these factors are actually regarding, you can think about that, for example, when you see some landscape, when you have some view, the reason why you prefer this view, for example, from some hill or some top of mountain, is that you prefer this because you have like this large field of view where you can see like a lot of things. You can see like predators, you can see like prey, you can see like food, resources, and all of that, and you can make decision based on this. The reason of that is if you are kind of comparing humans with the other animals, you will find that we are not really like strong or fast comparing to these animals. But what we kind of have is the ability to collect informations from the landscape, from the environment, and based on this, we make certain decisions. And this is kind of one of the main conclusions that was actually made in one of the landscape theories that was built in the field of environmental psychology. And this theory is created by Rachel and Stephen Kaplan. They are like psychologists, work in the landscape design, in the environmental psychology, and all of that. And basically, they were thinking about same questions, like why people prefer certain landscapes over the other. And they concluded that basically because of these evolutionary factors, we are seeking information in environments. Because we have this kind of hunger for information. Information are necessary for our survival. And because of this, some environments will give us more information over the other. And basically, we will prefer certain environments and landscapes because they give us better information. Some sort of like simple explanation. Of course, there is like more complex topic out there, but just to give you like intuition about that. Now, what is kind of main point here with UI design? What I'm trying to do, basically, we can treat UI design as some sort of new environment we have interaction with. So for the millions of years, like as human species, we have like interaction with landscapes, with the environment. And through this, like a lot of years, we built certain cognitive tools and capabilities to extract this information and use that. Now we are not like living in the forest, in the grasslands and these dangerous environments, but living in civilization. But still, we have interactions with certain environments that are artificially created, like for example, user interface and like digital products. And we kind of use the same cognitive tools as we use like for the while we are interacting with environments. And this is like connections that I try to make, like that basically the same principles that we can study in landscape theory, we can also use that in the UI design. Now, what about this theory of Rachel and Stephen Kaplan? What they're actually trying to say here? Basically, their theory, as they said, like, okay, we are information seeking animals, and we use certain cognitive functions to extract this information. So basically, they introduce two cognitive functions there. One of them is understanding, and the other is exploration. And just to simplify a little bit, why they actually pick these two. The reason for that is that you can treat understanding as a function when you gather information from the environment. So you basically pick up some information from the environment and you try to make like meaning of this information, to clarify that, to comprehend that. The exploration is the opposite direction. It's actually going from you toward the environment. So when you start to explore new things, you try to find new things in the environment, try to understand that, you are going to from you to the environment, trying to explore, to extract this information. And what they also did is that they found that these cognitive functions, understanding, exploration, happen like on two different level. They can happen like immediately, and they can happen like with certain inference. Like you need some time and effort to spend in order to understand something or to explore something. And based on these things, they created preference model or preference matrix, how they call that, which have 4 variables called coherence, legibility, complexity, and mystery. And basically, you can see these 4 variables as the characteristic of the environment, of the landscape. Basically, when you see some landscape, when you see some environment out there, you will notice that each of them will have some amount of these 4 variables. Like basically, you can put these variables, you can put these characteristics on scale from 0 to 1, and say like, okay, this landscape here like 80% of coherent variable, but also 20% of maybe like mystery. And this is how you actually use these 4 variables to design landscapes. And also, my point here is that we can use same thing in the UI design. We can use like these 4 variables and to apply on UI design and UX design. And we can say like, okay, our UI design have maybe look coherent or look complex or have a certain amount of mystery and legibility. I will now explain you these 4 variables a little bit more. So coherence is the immediate understanding. So every time like you have interactions with something, with the environment or user interface, if you immediately understand that, that's probably because that landscape have coherent characteristics. And what I thought about this actually is that if we are looking at UX design and UI design in general, what we're actually trying to do as designers, mostly we're trying to create coherent design. From this perspective, we are trying to create design that are immediately understand. This is like something we call intuitive design, or design that is, you can comprehend that like immediately, like without thinking, without recalling from memory, from experience and all of that. And we also like, if you're following this understanding called cognitive function, we're also trying to build interfaces that looks that have legibility. And legibility is actually understanding that requires certain time, effort, and movement. It's happened when you start moving on the screen or in the environment, and you start to get some information that you try to comprehend. Which is in the UI design, and UI design is related to orientation and navigation. So every time your users start to use product and to navigate through your product, legibility will tell you like how can they, how much like ability they have to orient themselves in these new situations. If you don't have like good navigations, they will probably have bad experience. So legibility actually can be characteristics of interfaces. If you have good legibility, that means that your user can navigate your interface and product very easy. Now in the UX and UI design, we mostly, I believe, we spend a lot of time creating interfaces that are coherent and have legibility. And we are kind of trying to fix this understanding part of this matrix. But at least in my experience and in general, while I'm looking what other designers are doing, we don't really put much attention on exploration. And exploration can be like really beneficial for the preference that your users have for your design or for your application, because it will give engagement. Like user will start clicking something, doing something with your product, starting to explore your product, and based on that, like we'll build like preference toward your product because they are engaged. Now in the exploration part, we have two variables: complexity and mystery. Complexity is immediate exploration, and complexity is just to clarify. Complexity doesn't mean that something is complicated. So it's not the same term. So if you have complex user interface, that doesn't mean it is necessarily complicated to understand and to use and to navigate. That actually means that complexity is actually variety and diversity of the elements you have. Like basically, it's the richness of the elements and options that you have on the interface. All functionalities, all flexibility that you provide to the users to do something that actually add complexity. For example, if you are looking at landscape arts that are, or landscape paintings that are built in the Baroque period, for example, or in general, Baroque period have like these complex architecture, complex paintings, complex art that have a lot of elements, a lot of details, a lot of decorations, because they wanted to emphasize this richness of the experience. When you are looking some cathedral, for example, that have like Baroque architecture, you will experience this richness of the elements and richness of that complex work. And that can actually be preference. That can actually build preference toward this kind of art. And the same way we can do this in UI design. That doesn't mean that you will create interface that have a bunch of elements that nobody can know to use, but basically to have something interesting there that people will start clicking and opening. This is, for example, in the landscape design done by, if you are, for example, designing garden, you can create coherent garden that have like just maybe one piece of plant, I don't know, and maybe like grass, and that's all. But you can also add other plants, other, flowers, other like, things there that have like different flowers, different like colors, different plants in your garden that will be interesting, like it will be rich and complex, have like a lot of diversity of the elements that you can interact with. And about mystery is like really, it is like have, mystery is kind of complex topic, kind of like, it have like two sides. If you talk about mystery, also in landscape design, also in UI design. Why? Because as humans, we like mystery. We like mysterious things. We like some things that is hidden or secret. We want to explore that. We have curiosity toward that. And if we find some hidden things out there, we will kind of, it can be like beneficial for us, but can also be dangerous. Like imagine yourself in the like grassland or forest, and you notice something mysterious out there, but that can also be like lion, like tiger, like that can eat you. So mysterious can be like danger. And if you use that in the UI design, that can also be danger in some way. Like if you like have certain functionalities and options that are hidden, and users cannot find it, but it's important for them. That can be like really frustrating and also like dangerous. It can be dangerous, for example, if your users click something and something appears, they don't understand that, they cannot like know what that actually means. That can be also dangerous for them. Like maybe they will delete something, I don't know. But you can also add certain amount of mystery to engage users. For example, using certain hints, using something like Easter eggs, for example. This is something used in video games, where players can find some interesting facts out there and be engaged with the game. Use like white rabbits and things like that. And the interface design, this can be used like with certain like hints about how to use certain functionality and feature. For example, what I find mysterious experience was when I started using ChatGPT, for example, for the first time. I didn't know like what kind of capabilities it have, but I was asking some questions there. But I was starting thinking, like, can I ask a question on my language, on different language, on Serbian or Spanish or Japanese, And I actually asked a question in Serbian, and I get like answer from the ChatGPT in Serbian language. And I was like fascinating, like this is amazing. Like I didn't know that. It was hidden from me, it was mystery for me. But I revealed that there is certain functionality out there, hidden functionality that you can actually speak with ChatGPT in the way that you can actually speak with ChatGPT that has certain mystery out there. So yeah, that's kind of that. That's kind of that I wanted to talk with you today. And kind of my main point here, just to take away, is that we can treat user interface and landscape, and basically use similar principles used in landscape theory in the user interface design, and see like how we can analyze, how we can treat our user interface in that way. So yeah, I will now announce Q&A. So if you have some questions, feel free to ask me, and I will try to answer you. So yeah, feel free to ask. What is landscape theory? So landscape theory is kind of scientific and academical study of landscapes and landscape design. So that's kind of part of that discipline. Like basically, you have landscape design as discipline, like user interface design, where you are trying to design gardens, parks, and things like that. But landscape theory is branch that's trying to scientifically study landscapes and the environments. And for example, theory that I mentioned, like from Rachel and Stephen Kaplan, that's one of those conceptual frameworks out there. There is also others. I think one is called, I think, agent-based theory or something like that. Like there are a bunch of these theories that explain why humans prefer certain landscapes and things like that, how they have interactions with landscapes. But this one that I'm talking today from Rachel and Stephen Kaplan, that are environmental psychologists, they have this preference model with these 4 variables that kind of explain how people interact with environments and landscapes, and why they prefer certain environments and landscape over the other. Kind of main reason for that, as I said, is you have roots in the evolutionary factors. Like we are seeking certain information from the environments because they are necessary for our survival. So yeah, that's landscape theory, kind of in general, in simplified way. Yeah, welcome. Why do we like danger and mystery? Well, it's not really that we like danger, but it's more that we like mystery, like hidden things. Because if you think from this landscape theory and evolutionary perspective, hidden things can be beneficial. For example, if you are looking at some shrub and maybe something is out there, it can be like rabbit and some food that is necessary for you for your survival, but can also be something dangerous. Like that's the reason why we kind of prefer mystery. Will this theory apply for, let's say, selling products online? Interesting, interesting question. To be honest, not sure how that can be applied online. Mostly because this is related to the landscape design. Like you have like landscape design on one side and interface design on the other. And in landscape design, these people kind of explored like why people prefer certain designs in terms of aesthetical creations in some way, like aesthetical things in the nature. And the same way we can apply that in user interface design and say, okay, because they are kind of related, they are visual things, aesthetical things, we can kind of, if we can like treat landscape design with this theory, we can maybe also treat user interface design in the same way, because as I said, like interface can be like new environment, new landscape that we have interaction with. But regarding selling products online, not sure really. Can be interesting, like for the thinking. Yeah, it can potentially apply because you make the user curious about your website. Yeah, for example, if you maybe design your website in the way that has certain amount, let's say maybe mystery or coherence or complexity, and maybe to treat your website as environment, as landscape, that will actually make users curious about your product that you're trying to sell on your website, and you will make some effects there that will convert them into your like customers and things like that. Uh, what are the takeaways? Takeaways, well, basically, the main kind of point is the kind of question in the title was, why do users prefer certain designs? My kind of point was to tell you that we can actually answer this question using landscape theory. You can use the other things out there, maybe let's say cognitive science, for example, or neuroscience. You can also answer this question in the same way using these tools from these disciplines. But I was actually trying to do something from the landscape theory and say like, okay, if we treat user interface as a new landscape, as new environment that we have interaction with, then we can use similar tools from landscape theory and apply that in the user interface design, which can be, for example, this preference model of 4 variables: coherence, complexity, legibility, and mystery, and apply that in user interface design. That's basically the idea. And we can kind of treat interface, user interface in that way. So that's kind of my main point of this talk. Legibility. So as I said, like there is these two cognitive functions, understanding and exploration, and they can happen immediately, like basically automatically, and with certain time and effort, with certain inference. This is so legibility is like cross section between understanding and inference, which basically mean that this is understanding that requires certain time, effort, certain movement. Basically, you're spending more time and effort to understand information that you get from the environment. And legibility will tell you about this, like how basically your environment, if your environment landscape have these legibility characteristics, that means that in this situation of when you have like a lot of time and effort to understand something, legibility will tell you that people understand environment in the good way. If they don't understand it that way, that means that you have bad, like low legibility and bad experience. It is also related to the movement because when you start to move in the environment, in the landscape, like you can look, for example, one landscape from top of the hill and see everything. But if you start moving, your scene will change, your view will change, and that movement will actually give you like additional information from the environment. And the legibility is also, because of that, legibility is related to orientation and navigation. So when you move in the space, in the environment, you're trying to orient yourself in that space. And if you don't have like good orientation, you will be lost. And this is kind of dangerous for you if you're lost in that environment. So legibility is basically in the landscape design, it is related to the clear path. If you have like clear path in the park or in the garden, that will be kind of good legibility. So in the same way in interface design, if you have like good navigation, good user flow, user journey, that will be good legibility. If you don't have, users will get lost, and when they get lost, they will start, they will start expressing fears and things like that because they cannot find the way out. So yeah. I think some of this can be found in articles that give the option to read or to listen. It may provide links to the other articles, videos from where the right to do this, but this design is desired. Yeah. As I mentioned, like you can actually read more about this on my article on Medium, where I wrote about this topic. And yeah, you can find you can also find some sources there. I think there are like references from these landscape designers and scientists that work on this field. And they have like other theories, agent prospect theory. I think it's one called this one from the Rachel and Stephen Kaplan. Like there are maybe 4 or 5 of them that you can see, and like I can send you here in the chat. Yeah, this is the article that I am talking about, and the end of that article, in the references, you can find some sources for this landscape theory and also for the other things related to that. Okay, cool. I think I finished this on the time. If you have any other question, feel free to write. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you don't have any questions, I will leave now. Thank you very much for your attendance on this session. It was really enjoying to share with you these ideas, and yeah, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or follow me on Medium or on the other places. So yeah, thank you very much, and yeah.